guys, so this is what if Deku was on the Dino Squad force. On the Dino Squad, or had the powers of Dino Squad. Now, if you don't know what Dino Squad is, it's basically a TV show that came out in the 2000s. It's basically a TV show kind of similar to, it's kind of similar to, what was it? Power Rangers or things. It's a group of teenagers that got the abilities of dinosaurs, but instead of them being Power Rangers, they have the ability to transform into dinosaurs, or one dinosaur specifically matched to them. Now, I'm pretty sure their abilities, they have the senses of the dinosaurs while they're in their human form, or they have the natural instincts, but also at the same time, they could transform parts of their body into dinosaurs, like their head, or their arms, or their legs, or anything like that. So yeah, they can transform parts of their bodies into dinosaurs. And also, Deku will have the ability. Pretty much, it's about 5 of them. The team is consisted of 5 people. Basically, it's one person, green-haired, with a green mohawk, that can transform into a pterodactyl. Another one that can transform into a Spinosaurus. Another one that can transform into a Stegosaurus. Another one that can transform into a Triceratops, and another one can transform into a T-Rex, and the dog can transform into like a human hybrid dog, dinosaur, whatever it is. So basically, Deku, I was thinking about if I should turn Deku into one specific, Dino Squad character, but you know what, why not? Deku will have the abilities of all the Dino Squad members. So Deku's gonna have the abilities of all the Dino Squad members, including the villains in the TV show as well. And also, Deku will be able to transform into any type of dinosaur, not being limited by the dinosaurs shown in the TV show. So Deku could transform into any type of dinosaur known to man or science, or just a random dinosaur they haven't found yet. They haven't found the bones of it yet. And basically, Deku attains his superhuman abilities because they, in the movie, or the TV show, they attain their powers they attain their transformation of the dinosaur into, from glowy ooze in a ocean or something. Because Deku will get his abilities similar, but at a different time. Now, basically, Deku will get his abilities when he's a teenager, so he won't get his abilities young and grow up with them. He's gonna learn how to use them during the 10-month arc training. So let's get into it. Now, basically, okay, guys. So basically, Deku, being Deku, is bullied the same in canon, being told that he's quirkless, and Deku, being heartbroken. Before Deku, can give up his dream, during the whole entire last day of school, the school actually goes, or the class goes on a field trip to to a resort that, focuses on dinosaur and archaeology, and also dinosaur-based pro heroes that give autographs and stuff like that. So Bakugo gets an autograph from Dino Man, pretty much a hero that can transform parts of his body to dinosaurs, but can't transform his whole body into a dinosaur. So basically, Deku grew up loving dinosaurs. Basically, Deku grew up loving dinosaurs and all sorts of other creatures. Now, Deku still loved All Might and still looked up to him, but Deku didn't really like the pro heroes that based on dinosaurs. He just loved dinosaurs in general. He just loved dinosaurs, and pretty much he was obsessed with dinosaurs, and he always wanted to meet one in real life. So basically, Deku went through his life, basically just, being, cool, but still being bullied. So they get to the, resort. They get to the resort, and pretty much everybody, gets autographs from, pro heroes, and also takes pictures of dinosaur sculptures and bones, and, has a fun time. Deku getting bullied by Bakugo sometimes as Deku, because they spend that time on the field trip for about 2 days, so they have to pack up clothing for 2 days. So basically, Deku, went to his, the dorm, or the hotel rooms that were, sold out for each student. Basically, Deku, sitting there in his room, with a random other student pretty much leaving the room because they don't want to be near a quirkless person saying I'm going to sleep with my girlfriend down the hall. And pretty much walking off from Deku and saying a quirkless person. Yuck. Deku gets pretty much is really sad at this point because no one wants to hang out with him just because he's quirkless. Deku gets over it and basically just lays down, just forgetting about what happened. Deku lays down, and the next day, Deku and his class go to the beach. And basically, they go to the beach, and Deku pretty much stays away from the water. When when Ochaku comes out of nowhere. Now, basically, Ochaku goes to the same school as Deku. Ochaku tells Deku to get up. Now, basically, Ochaku knows Deku's quirkless, but but she's nice. So she's basically, trying to become friends with Deku. Deku and Ochaku are best friends, and they're eventually gonna morph into something more. So basically, I'm sorry, Isaac, because everybody's saying, Ochaku a gold digger, blah blah blah. No, bro. Like, I don't really understand why everybody thinks she's a gold digger. Like, she may just be in it for the money, but like, she still wants to help people, so I don't understand. But yeah, so basically, the ship for this one is gonna be Ochaku or maybe Mina. Okay, so either one, guys. You choose. Basically, Deku's gonna be going in the pool with Ochaku, and Ochaku's gonna tell Deku to have some fun. Deku has some fun, and pretty much Bakugo says, "Hey, nerd, I dare you to swim over there to the pipe, and I dare you to stay underwater." Pretty much Deku saying no, and Bakugo saying, "You little nerd. I knew you didn't have the balls for it." Pretty much slapping Deku in the face. Deku gets angry and pretty much says, "Fine, I'll do it." And pushes Bakugo. Bakugo letting it slide, says, "I hope you don't die, nerd." Pretty much smirking underneath his lips. Pretty much Bakugo's lackeys look at Deku swimming over to the pipe near the pool, near the what was it? Near the beach, and basically swimming over it. But little did Deku know, on the other side of that pipe, it was actually a organization making artificial quirks, or trying to create artificial quirks. On the resort, they were actually trying to make artificial quirks or merge the DNA of somebody with the DNA of a dinosaur, because they did find a dinosaur, a piece of dinosaur DNAs in a iceberg. Pieces of dinosaur blood in the iceberg. About 562 DNA samples. They put them all into a somatic reconditioning center, basically trying to merge it with a human DNA, or because quirkless DNA didn't mix well with the program. Basically, they pulled it down the drain because they gave up on the project, and all of it rushed down the drain, pretty much covering it all into Deku's body. Deku absorbing the chemicals, basically, drowning at this point. Deku swallowing it and it going into his skin, and his eyes, his ears, and his nose, and pretty much through all the openings of his body, getting all into his DNA. Deku started to drown and fall to the ground, but in that second, Deku's eyes grew bright yellow, or just started glowing green, like glowing like a flashlight episode. His eyes started glowing green, and Deku's body started transforming. Turns to a Mosasaurus, and basically Deku starts swimming around the ocean. Pretty much swimming deeper into the ocean, and eventually getting to the deepest crevices of the ocean. At this point, it's nighttime, and pretty much the teacher and a couple other students are looking for Deku, including Ochaku. The other students pretty much skip up saying it's a quirkless person, who's gonna care, and pretty much walking off. Pretty much this teacher's about to call Deku's mother, saying that Deku went missing in the ocean, and probably saying that he's probably dead. Now, pretty much him picking up the phone, hesitantly not trying to tell an old woman that not trying to tell a middle-aged woman that his son just died. Pretty much Deku out of nowhere appears on the edge of the beach. Pretty much Ochaku running over to Deku saying, "Are you okay? You've been gone for 6 hours." Pretty much Deku saying, "I'm good." With Deku looking up into the sky and rubbing his eyes and looking at his body, seeing that, Deku's clothes are all ripped up. And Ochaku noticing that Deku's, naked. Pretty much Ochaku is saying, "Get some clothes." Pretty much telling Deku to get out of here. Deku runs off, grabbing a towel and pinning it over his waist. Deku goes back into his hotel or his, room and pretty much gets dressed into his clothes. Deku wears a black jeans, his iconic red shoes, and his All Might shirt. Or scratch his dinosaur shirt with a T-Rex on it. Pretty much Deku, pretty much walks off, going downstairs and pretty much wondering what happened. Deku getting glimpses of when he first transformed, getting glimpses of him eating sharks and going into, abandoned subs, and also Deku also swimming around the ocean at really fast speeds. Deku was confused, seeing that himself eating multiple other, creatures and eating swarms of fish, being underwater, feeling like he's, in control, feeling in once of his life that he was powerful. Deku, pretty much, when they got back home, Deku told his mom about everything. His mom just said he probably fainted underneath the water, and maybe some pair of fishes took her clothes or something. I don't know, but it's okay. Pretty much comforting Deku, and Deku, wanting to know a lot more, pretty much starts trying to see what's happening to him over the 10-month arc training, because he knows what he did was real, and he doesn't know how it happened. Deku pretty much starts swimming a lot more, pretty much training in the water, and seeing that he has changes to his body or his human form now. Deku can swim a lot more faster, kind of like how Aquaman can, and pretty much Deku being able to sense a lot more things, and also being able to see underwater clearly, like he's seeing on land. Deku also has increased smell and senses underwater, because he feels a huge burst of, waves when somebody just puts the tip of their toe into the water. Deku, over the couple of days, finds out that he has these new abilities. Deku has increased speed and agility and stamina, but when he uses it too much, he gets an incredibly big amount of strain on his body. Now, basically, Deku isn't like Black Panther type of athleticism or super soldier. Deku is basically just able to, jump maybe 6 feet up into the air, and that's the best, jump that Deku can make in his human form. Deku also has the ability to punch through a concrete wall. Not really punch through it, but more or less punch like a little tiny crater or like a dent or like a groove of his fist into the wall. Deku also has increased strength, so Deku, if he punches hard enough, he can punch his hand through a person's body. So Deku's pretty strong in his human form. Deku also has super senses, like a dinosaur or a velociraptor. Now, basically, Deku over 1 week finds out all of his enhanced physical features. Deku eventually tries to figure out how did he transform. Deku focuses, and one day Deku pretty much closes his eyes and imagines something, more or less a dinosaur, and Deku transforms into Troodon. Deku transforms into a Troodon and pretty much starts looking around, looking at his hands, and pretty much saying what the heck's going on, and jumping on top of. Sorry guys, gotta go. I gotta do some stuff. So guys, I'm just continuing where I left off. Basically, Deku transforming into, a Troodon form and running around the beach, jumping on top of jumping on top of pieces of trash, Deku Beach, pretty much taking out trash and throwing it around using his dinosaur strength. Deku sees he has talents and he can run as fast as a Troodon. Deku also has the ability of all the senses and the powers of a Troodon. Deku pretty much takes down like about a good hefty chunk of trash off of Deku Beach, and Deku not having any time limit on his dinosaur forms. But if Deku stays in his dinosaur form for longer than 2 days, or a dinosaur form longer than a day, he does permanently get some features of that dinosaur on his physical body or his human body. So basically, Deku he transforms, imagining himself or imagining him going back or transforming back. Deku transforms back and sees that the first time he transformed it did kind of hurt, but now he's numb to it. Deku is super excited. Over the 10-month arc training, Deku finds out after 2 months, Deku finds out that he can transform into basically any dinosaur or only any dinosaur Deku can, imagine. Deku tries to transform into any type of animal or somebody else, but Deku finds out that he can only transform into dinosaurs. Basically, Deku, trains over the 10-month arc training, finding out about 20 more, pretty much finding out more about his abilities. Basically, Deku is a huge dinosaur fan, so he basically knows how every dinosaur looks like. And basically, Deku has like a whole entire book dedicated to dinosaur, or like a dinosaur wiki. So Deku knows what type of dinosaurs he can transform into and how big they are or how strong they can be. So Deku, picks out dinosaurs that, will be really useful in a fight. But basically, Deku, in his dinosaur forms, he can transform parts of his body into dinosaurs, and that's how he found out how to do that during 3 months into his training. Deku was in his room playing some video games because he took a week off of training, and pretty much Deku, was pretty much taking a week off of training because after 2 months, Deku started focusing on his physical body. Since Deku already had superhuman strength and agility, Deku didn't really think he could train his physical body, but Deku still wanted to see if he can have any better body. Now, basically, Deku didn't really train that much because Deku, when he, when he got his superhuman abilities or super athletic, he got that, he got that Spider-Man six-pack, bro. He got, when Spider-Man got bit by the spider, he woke up with, like, freaking a six-pack and stuff, so basically that's what happened to Deku. So basically, Deku already had the body that he got over the 10-month arc training from the, physical enhancements from the serum Deku has in his DNA now. Basically, Deku, over the, pretty much, basically Deku over the 2 months of him, of him training on his combat skills like karate and jiu-jitsu, Deku starts, finding out how to pretty much fight in hand-to-hand combat. Plus the superhuman strength Deku has, he now has the, upper advantage of karate skill because, he has a pretty better, sense of his agility. Now, basically, Deku wears a dinosaur necklace because Deku's father in this canon is actually dead. But Deku's father in this canon actually is was an archaeological, I don't know what his name is. I don't know what that, I know like the people that dig up dinosaur bones, archaeological, I don't know what it's called. But yeah, so basically, archaeologist, I think that was called. Pretty much, Deku's father gave Deku a bunch of dinosaur, antiques, and also the last gift Deku got from his father before he died in a cave collapse over him finding out a new dinosaur bone. Pretty much, Deku's, pretty much, Deku can transform into dinosaurs if he doesn't know what they look like. He can transform into dinosaurs if he touches their DNA. So Deku's father found a new type of dinosaur, but he had the teeth of it. He found a tooth of it and pretty much gave it to Deku as an antique. So basically, Deku had it on his neck. Basically, Deku, pretty much wore this thing everywhere, in the shower, when he went to sleep, everything. Basically, Deku keeps, pretty much a regiment on his training. Deku spends 2 weeks training his physical body. Deku spends 2 weeks training in hand-to-hand combat like ninjutsu, karate, and also boxing. So Deku pretty much knows how to do all those things, and he also mastered boxing already. So Deku's mastered karate, jiu-jitsu, and boxing, but he still is kind of like an amateur, because if like a grand boxing master went up against Deku, he would win, but Deku wouldn't be able to go toe-to-toe, blow-to-blow with somebody without his power. So yeah, so basically Deku, one day after Deku, was done with all his training, Deku plays a video game. Pretty much playing a video game, and basically Deku finding out that he could transform parts of his body into dinosaurs. Deku was, pretty much playing the dinosaur game and thinking about a pterodactyl. Deku, knowing that, he hasn't even transformed into a pterodactyl yet, pretty much Deku imagining pterodactyl wings and him flying across the sky. The bottom of Deku's arms start transforming, and Deku sees his arms transform into transform into pterodactyl arms. Deku's confused and pretty much starts flying around in his room. Deku opens opens one of his windows, flying out of his house, flying around the city. And Deku's body starts transforming into pterodactyl body. Deku starts flying around. Deku transforms into a green pterodactyl and starts flying around the city, flying up and down around buildings and all sorts of other stuff, flying as high as it can, saying this is awesome. Now Deku, over the last couple of months, Deku finds out that he can transform parts of his body into different parts of dinosaur bodies. And Deku could transform any of his body parts into dinosaurs. It's like his teeth or his eyes, or like he can grow a tail on the back of his body, or something like that. So basically, Deku, more or less gets a pretty good, understanding of his powers. Deku goes to the entry exams, pretty much bumping into Ochaku still, and Ochaku and Deku knowing each other, pretty much saying, "Why are you here, Deku? You don't have a quirk." And Deku tells Ochaku, "Just wait and see." And pretty much him walking off and Ochaku being confused. Pretty much, Ochaku tells Deku that, "I don't want you to get hurt," and pretty much telling Deku to get out of here now. Deku says, "I'm good," and pretty much saying that you'll see when I show you. Pretty much Ochaku's confused and says, "Whatever, Deku, but I'm gonna try to help you if you get under some rubble, okay?" Pretty much Deku says, "Whatever," and they get ready. So pretty much Deku was in his sand green jumpsuit. It's just Deku's jumpsuit is actually has a, what was it? A dino, like the word Dino Squad on the back of his, jacket or his sweatshirt. Basically, they get ready, and pretty much Deku gets ready and starts, transforming. When they start the match, or when they start the test, Deku transforms into a T-Rex and starts ripping apart robots and stomping on them. Everybody's looking at Deku and saying that's an awesome transformation quirk, and pretty much the teachers watching this saying that, wow, that's a really interesting quirk. Pretty much Deku starts jumping on top of robots, biting into them, and also swinging them around with his tail. Deku eventually comes across a, I think it was the Zero-Point robot, and Deku sees the Zero-Point robot about to step on, Ochaku. Deku transforms into a different T-Rex, and Deku being confused. Now, basically, pretty much Deku can transform into different versions of a dinosaur, and Deku transforming into a mutated version of a T-Rex, because it was different versions of T-Rexes in the prehistoric times in this universe. So basically, this is a mutated T-Rex that was pretty much a artificial DNA sample that was put into the serum that they flushed down the drain. Pretty much Deku, pretty much running over the, pretty much jumping over the Zero-Point robot, taking it down in seconds. Now, basically, this mutated T-Rex was actually as big as a freaking skyscraper. It was freaking huge. It was big. It was big as Godzilla. No cap. Basically, Deku jumps on top of the Zero-Point robot, taking it down, and pretty much looking around. Seeing Ochaku looking at Deku, or looking at the creature, saying, "What the heck?" And pretty much Deku transforming his arms into pterodactyl wings, flying down right in front of Ochaku, and helping, Ochaku getting out the rubble, transforming his arms into, transforming his arms into, Stegosaurus arms. Pretty much Deku sees, sees pretty much Ochaku's shocked, saying that you have a quirk, Deku? And Deku said, I'll tell you everything, but for now, I gotta get you to the recovery girl. Deku takes Ochaku and transforms himself into a Velociraptor. A Velociraptor making Ochaku ride on his back, and pretty much dropping her off at recovery girl, running back into the city, jumping on top of robots and ripping them apart. Deku eventually, is stopped by the bell of the siren, and pretty much everybody is told to go back home and wait for the results. Deku goes back home. Pretty much walking into his house. Deku, tells his mom that I think I did pretty good, and pretty much Deku hearing a doorbell. Pretty much Ochaku walking in, and pretty much Ochaku telling Deku what's happening. Deku tells Ochaku about the whole entire things, him telling her that I saw glowing ooze coming out of the pipe when I was at the pool. And pretty much it covered me, and I suffocated into it, and it pretty much merged with me. Then, over the course of a couple of weeks, a couple of months, I found out that I had superhuman abilities. And I can also transform some parts of my body into dinosaurs, and also parts of my body into dinosaurs and turn into dinosaurs. Ochaku says, so you got a quirk? Deku says, I don't know if it's a quirk or not, but it's some sort of ability that I can use to become a hero. And Deku, pretty much looking at Ochaku saying, that's interesting, saying that, so, what are you gonna call yourself? And Deku says, I don't know yet, but I'm working on that. Pretty much, Pretty much Deku telling Ochaku to, you should go home before, you miss your note to UA. Ochaku says, I don't think I'm going to get into UA. And Deku says, that's nonsense, and pretty much tells Ochaku to, go. Ochaku being, kind of in her feelings because she's in Deku's room, pretty much telling Deku to stay safe and kissing Deku on the cheek. Deku blushes and pretty much, stutters and trying to say goodbye, but Ochaku winks at Deku and walks out of his room. Deku sits there, pretty much seeing his eyes glow bright green, and Deku transforming into transforming into one of those scavenger dinosaurs. I don't know what they're called. The tiny dinosaurs that scavenge, and pretty much the tiny dinosaurs that took down that little girl in the beginning of Jurassic Park 2, I think, or Jurassic World 2. I don't know. Pretty much Deku basically, what's it called? Deku goes to UA the next day, getting the note from UA the next day. Deku goes to UA, walks into class 1A, and pretty much looks at everybody. Bakugo looks at Deku saying, what the? And pretty much Bakugo running over to Deku saying, why are you here? And pretty much Azao walking into class right before Bakugo goes about to question Deku even more, and pretty much telling them to sit down and they get ready to get into their sports outfits their gym outfits because they're going to do some, quirk assessments. They get ready and Deku gets ready. Deku takes off his shirt and the girls look at him. Deku takes off his shirt because he doesn't want to rip up his suit because his suit isn't flexible enough to transform with his body. Now basically Deku can use a little bit of the serum to transform the clothing with his body, but Deku takes off his shirt because he's going to be using a lot more big transformations for these tests. Basically, for the ball throw, Deku transforming into a Bronchiosaurus, pretty much grabbing the ball in his mouth and pretty much taking his neck, swinging it back and throwing it forward, spitting out the ball, throwing it pretty far. Deku gets a pretty good score, above average, and pretty much transforms back into his human form. So for the long jump, Deku transforming into a mutated version of a red Velociraptor, turning into a mutated version of a Velociraptor that's red, and pretty much jumping over the sand pit with ease. For the race, Deku transforms into Deku transforms into the red Velociraptor again, and pretty much runs past everybody, getting a pretty good score, tying with Ida. For the grip test strength, Deku tries out a new transformation that he's been working on over the week before the entrance exams. Deku transforms into a humanoid version of his body with a mix of Stegosaurus DNA, pretty much transforming into something like this. Deku mixes his human form with the body of a Stegosaurus and the claws of a the talons of a the talons of a Velociraptor with the hands of a human. Pretty much, Deku gets looked at everybody. Everybody looks at Deku saying that, "What the heck? That's not a dinosaur." And Deku says, "It's a human." Pretty much, Azawa says, "What is this?" And Deku says, "It's a humanoid version of It's a mix of my human DNA with dinosaur DNA. It's pretty much mixing. I'm pretty much halfway transforming." Using 2 DNA samples. Now, when Deku does this, when he makes a humanoid version of a dinosaur mixed with 2 different versions of dinosaur DNA, Deku can actually put a huge strain on his body. But he can do this for about 2 hours a day. Now, Deku basically takes the grip test strength and demolishes it because he has Velociraptor strength, his, superhuman strength, and also Stegosaurus strength, so he's pretty strong. So basically, Deku is also incredibly durable in this form, or incredibly durable in this form. Now basically, Deku, Deku gets first place. Everybody else gets gets pretty much a lower score. Like, say for instance, Bakugo was first, he was now 2 now, and he says if Todoroki was 2, he's now 3, and on 4th, so on and so on. And so basically, Deku, basically gets told by Azawa that he did pretty good, and Azawa saying that, well, it's not gonna really get you far, but at least you weren't expelled. Now, guys, when I do these, entry exams, you should always know that Ozawa always says that if you don't try your hardest, you're gonna get expelled. So basically, Mineta gets expelled, and you guys can choose who takes Mineta's place. Now, basically, the shifts for this what if before I, outro, pretty much is gonna be Mina, Ochaku, or Mina, Ochaku, or Kendo. So yeah, so you guys choose in the comments. And also, guys, yeah, so see you guys later. Bye, Jesus, as always, guys. And as always, guys, have a blessed day.